What's the difference between a guitarist and a sofa? The sofa can support a family. Terrible. What about, what's the definition of an optimist? A drummer with a mortgage. Food for thought, just like, what's the difference between an extra large pizza and a bass player? The pizza will feed a family of 4. There's hundreds of these online. The best jokes often contain kernels of truth. And a hard truth is you don't become a musician to make money. Some do make incredible amounts, but they are very much the exception. I often present problems with streaming, with labels, etc., etc. So I thought it's about time I present some solutions, things that have really helped me when I was just starting out as a professional musician. This video is sponsored by Distrokid. Think of these as starters before your main. They're good indicators that you're ready to seriously pursue music as a full-time occupation. Feel free to add your own tips in the comments below. Not everyone's path is the same, and we can all learn from one another, but these really worked for me. I have walked this walk, and now I will get on and talk this talk. Rule 1, don't quit your day job. Time for a story about how I quit my day job. Hang on, I hear you comment, but bear with me. The type of day job you do on the side, it really matters. Some are extremely draining. Others are what we call light duties. One conversation in 2012 changed the course of my life. I had graduated from my degree in classical music and gone full-time at the IT recruitment consultancy I had been working for part-time over the past 2 years. The part-time work was perfect for me. It was an easy-to-understand business. It was a growing startup, and I learnt a lot. I did my work, took my money, and went back to studying, practicing, or even the pub. This all changed when I switched from being admin staff to a full-time recruitment consultant. I was told I could be earning really great money if I did well. Very tempting when there are guitars I want to buy. But almost immediately, I was getting into the office at 6:30 a.m. and not leaving until gone 10 p.m. I was expected to make a minimum of 100 phone calls a day to people looking to change jobs and businesses looking for staff. It was no longer a good day job. We all had quotas to fill with updates sent out twice a day ranking everyone in the office. You did not want to be at the bottom of that list. I'd be totally exhausted when I got home and not want to do anything other than go to bed. Another thing about it really affected me. I had a Twitter account for my music, and the consultancy wanted me to use it to advertise their job vacancies because they wanted real people to be selling the jobs when it wasn't relevant. I always think of it as a real crossroads moment in my life. 2 weeks in, I went to a nearby guitar shop during my lunch, as you do. Chatting with the owner, I decided there and then I was going to quit my job. When I told him I worked in IT recruitment, he laughed and he said, "But you're a musician. Why aren't you musicianing?" He then mapped out a plan for me, and after years of never thinking I'd be able to make a living from music, because that's what everyone around me told me, he broke it down. Quit that job because it's stopping you from pursuing music. Instead, you could teach guitar, piano, singing, or you could play cover gigs in pubs, you could book weddings, you could busk, you could be a session musician. But first of all, what money do you have saved? And can you find more generic temp work quickly if you need to? The answer was yes, so I quit. If you define yourself as a musician, even if you're not doing it full time, then it doesn't matter what non-music job you do on the side, but you need time to work on your real craft and all the admin that goes with that. That day job was not working for me at that time in my life where I had few responsibilities or financial demands. I did not need a high salary. I needed time to work on my songwriting. Obviously, individual circumstances can mean different decisions. If you're young and in your 20s, be wary of accepting a promotion. More money and more responsibility usually means less time for music. But if you're in your 30s or older and have a family, that job might be needed and you might take a route very different to what I did. Whatever you do, you need to find at least some time to practice and write material every day, ideally an hour, maybe more. You need at least one evening during the week to go to an open mic. At weekends, you could be gigging Friday, Saturday night, maybe Sunday afternoon too. Busking is good too. Make sure you have a card reader and a way for people to find you on social media. But my advice is to hold on as long as you can. Build up cash reserves for emergencies and game plan every eventuality, an unexpected bill, a new amp, whatever. If the numbers look good, consider taking the plunge. Until then, just keep doing what you're doing. You might think you find it difficult to balance the demands of a day job with making music or playing in the evenings, but you will find it a whole lot more difficult to be creative when you're staring at your rapidly diminishing bank balance and wondering how on earth you'll pay your rent next month. It takes time to build up a roster of paid gigs, so after quitting that job, I found a better paid 9-to-5 that was much less demanding. I found a circle of other musicians who were working full-time and needed a singer for their paid gigs, and I spent my free time booking open mics, cover gigs, weddings, and messaging A&Rs on LinkedIn. I am not a trust fund baby. I have always been very sensible with money, saved as much as I could and spent as little as I could, despite my surname, and never had any credit card debt. My life was very basic, so I could afford to live off gigs and occasional bar work and my temp job. Live within your means. Choosing to leave your day job can be like crossing a canyon on a tightrope. Do not do it prematurely and hope everything will work out. Don't take out loans to go full time. Keep working as long as you can. Do something easy that doesn't take over your life, but do something to keep the wolf from the door. Rule 2. Prioritize playing live as much as you can, i.e., get good. I went on a proper tour for the first time in 2014, doing 25 dates around the UK, supporting a British comedian. I was paid £100 a gig plus expenses. I thought this would kickstart my career. Guess what? It didn't. But thank God, because I was not ready. Around that same time, I got a residency at the famous Royal Navy Volunteer in Bristol from 2014 to 2016, playing marathon 4-hour cover sets, sometimes solo, sometimes as a duo with a drummer, sometimes as a trio. That gig really taught me to play to an audience and song choice. You have nowhere to hide. You have to show up ready to play day in, day out, often to crowds of drunk people who aren't really listening. And I made plenty of sacrifices during this time. I missed out on holidays with friends, meals out, all those little life events that have to be skipped in order to gig. You might have to do the same. I knew music was the only thing I was good at and that I wasn't going to have a career in anything else, so I had to make this work. Playing live is where you become a good musician. I preach how wonderful social media and YouTube has been to showcase my musicianship, but I spent years working on my craft before that ball started rolling, so put the time in and play live at every opportunity. Rule number 3, learn to sell yourself. Selling merch at shows is still one of the best ways to earn a living as a musician. This might make some people cringe, but you also absolutely need to learn to sell yourself, your newsletter, your social media, your Bandcamp. My first 300 YouTube subscribers were pretty much all people who'd seen me at cover gigs. So my challenge to you, can you get 5 people to sign up to your newsletter, notifying them of your other gigs in the area and how to stream your music online? Can you go to an open mic, play a good show, start on time, finish on time with no fuss, no drama, all your equipment working and your guitar in tune? Can you warm the audience to you and tell them you have a demo for sale? Start with a tiny batch of CDs or tapes or USB sticks, the smallest possible run. You need to sell them one by one. Learning to produce a physical product teaches you a wide range of skills. Not only have you got to have a little home recording setup, but you've also designed the artwork yourself, budgeted for producing them, and paid the invoice on time for the printing house. This shows that you have entrepreneurial skills, which you need nowadays. Sign them, bring pens, personalize the experience. If you can't do that, then I don't think you're ready to sell yourself as a musician to a wider audience in person or online. Which brings me to my final tip. Networking, i.e. be a good hang. Those who work in the industry will tell you all about a certain look in people's eyes that just screams, "What can I get from you?" or "How can I benefit from this interaction?" It is very off-putting. Not every meeting is going to be your big break. Can you genuinely talk to people and introduce yourself without coming across as completely self-involved? Can you listen? and ask that person questions without just waiting to talk about yourself and your music. If someone's met you and you've been an arse, you and your career will suffer. So be a good hang. So, are you ready to make money from music? I hope you found my 4 pieces of advice useful. This video has been sponsored by Distrokid. I am using Distrokid to release my debut album track by track, Super Sexy Heartbreak. It's the easiest way for you to get your music into all the major streaming sites and social media channels. And they've just launched Mixer. Mixer is a powerful new tool to help make your music sound great in a hurry. If you're just starting out making music or you're on a budget, Mixer allows you to instantly master any track so that it sounds great for streaming services. Master unlimited tracks for just $99 a year, but to get 7% off your first year at Distrokid, just click my link in the description. And of course, I'll be seeing you here again very, very soon.